an anonymous donation to the Iowa women's basketball team NIL program, and boom, they playing top dollar for her alone. Damn near could get some of these big name young ladies to come to Iowa. Massive.
Jensen just dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming, and the basketball world is absolutely losing its mind. In what seemed like just another routine media interview, Iowa's associate head coach casually let slip something that's been whispered about in recruiting circles for months. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA superstar who's supposed to be focused on
NIL deals with Caitlin Clark donating. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying that very much could be the case that Caitlin Clark has single-handedly transformed the roster with her pocketbook alone.
Her professional career has apparently been working behind the scenes to help Iowa land not one, not two, but 5 of the biggest recruits in women's college basketball. This isn't speculation anymore. This is confirmed. And the implications? They're massive enough to shake both the NCAA and the WNBA to their core. Before we dive into how this all unravels,
Jensen has confirmed what we all have been thinking. Caitlin Clark has definitely been helping the Iowa women's basketball team land some of the biggest recruits.
Let's set the stage. Iowa wasn't always the powerhouse you see dominating headlines today. Just a few years ago, they were a respectable program, sure, but nobody was putting them in the same conversation as UConn or South Carolina. They were competitive, they had heart, but they weren't elite. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and everything changed. She didn't just elevate.
Iowa is one of the most popular schools in all of the college basketball world because of simply one superstar player, and that is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark transitioned and transformed women's basketball to the shape that we know it to be today. She carried on and did the same thing in her professional career
with the team's performance on the court. She fundamentally reshaped what it meant to be an Iowa Hawkeye. Under her leadership, Iowa made back-to-back runs to the national championship game. They didn't win either time, but that's almost beside the point. Clark turned Iowa into must-see television.
Before Caitlin Clark got there, Iowa was not a go-to school. Like, people didn't really it wasn't like a check mark, like, I'm going to go to Iowa. It wasn't up there with like a UConn, South Carolina, or anything like that. Well, after Caitlin Clark went there, led them to back-to-back national championships.
She sold out arenas, broke scoring records, and made women's basketball appointment viewing for millions of fans who'd never cared about the sport before. Lisa Bludder, Iowa's head coach, became regarded as one of the best basketball minds in the country.
Championship games, and unfortunately they didn't win, but the coaching staff is one of the best in the nation when it comes to basketball. Lisa Bludder arguably could coach an NBA team. That's how basketball Virginia
many believe could coach at the NBA level if given the chance. Jensen, her right hand, was there through it all, helping construct a culture built on loyalty, transparency, and fearless basketball. Together, they built something special. And when
every step of the way through it all, alongside Lisa Bludder, putting this thing together and making sure this women's basketball team that we know and love to watch be on the top level that it is today. And I'm here to tell you, they are still a powerhouse school, and Jensen slipped the cat out the bag.
Clark graduated and headed to the WNBA. Everyone assumed that chapter was over. Iowa would rebuild, Clark would move on, and life would continue. Except that's not what happened. Not even close. This week, Jensen sat down with local media to discuss Iowa's upcoming season and their latest recruiting class.
Now, with that being said, this article came out by Iowa Sports Illustrated. Said Iowa head coach credits Caitlin Clark for recruiting success. Could you imagine being recruited by Caitlin Clark, bro? Like, who's going to tell Caitlin no? Think about this, bro.
It was supposed to be a standard, feel-good interview about the program's momentum and keeping in-state talent committed. But then, almost offhandedly, Jensen said something that made everyone's ears perk up. She credited Caitlin Clark, directly and publicly, for helping Iowa secure several 5-star recruits. She didn't say it with scandal in mind.
Caitlin Clark is finna have all the UConn people mad, all the South Carolina people mad. I'm telling you right now, she's gonna go pull up to your living room and she gonna recruit you to Iowa, bro.
In fact, she seemed proud, grateful even. But the moment those words left her mouth, social media erupted. Clips of the interview spread like wildfire across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. analysts on ESPN started breaking it down. College basketball podcasts devoted entire episodes to dissecting what this meant. The question on everyone's mind wasn't about...
Iowa got a gem in Caitlin Clark, bro. Caitlin Clark can help Iowa turn into a top 10 program at no damn time just because she went there and she could pull up to them living rooms with the coaches of these set programs to help land these players, bro. Because that's what collegiate sport has turned into, this NIL thing.
About Iowa's next season anymore. It was about how deep Caitlin Clark's influence really runs and whether a professional athlete should be playing kingmaker for a college program. Now, let's be clear about what Clark's legacy already looks like at Iowa. She didn't just put up points. She built an empire. Her games became events. Fans traveled from across state lines just to watch her play.
Goes on to say the Iowa Hawkeyes have made a massive leap in recruitment in the last few years. Bet you they did. Wink, wink. In April of 2024, the program secured a commitment from Addie Deal, a top recruit from California. This year, the team has already landed a 5-star recruit from another. Head coach
Her jersey sales shattered records. Her highlights went viral on every platform imaginable. She turned Iowa into a national brand, and the financial impact alone is staggering. Ticket sales tripled. Media coverage exploded. The program started generating revenue that gave them leverage.
Coach Jensen addressed the media this week, which we're going to listen to some of this, sharing how she managed to stay focused and keeping the in-state talent while also taking the recruiting coast to coast. Jensen believes that former point guard Caitlin Clark, WNBA superstar, deserve credit for attracting some of the top recruits to Iowa, bro. Hands down, Iowa wouldn't be able to do this without
had before. So when Jensen said Clark helped land recruits, she wasn't just talking about inspiration. She was hinting at something much bigger, something that blurs the line between college and professional influence in ways we've never seen before. Here's where it gets interesting. Iowa just secured 5 elite recruits, each one highly coveted by programs with bigger budgets, deeper nil pockets, and more established winning traditions. How did a school in Iowa City pull that off? According to Jensen, Caitlin Clark's name was the silent closer in almost every conversation. These aren't just talented players. These are 5-star athletes who grew up watching Clark dominate the college game. They saw her hit logo threes, orchestrate comebacks, and redefine what's possible for women in basketball. To them, joining Iowa isn't just about playing for a good team. It's about stepping into a movement, carrying on a legacy that Clark started. Several of these recruits even mentioned her influence in their commitment interviews, citing her passion and humility as major factors in their decision. But it goes deeper than just inspiration. There's a recruit from California, a 5-star guard who is being courted by every major program in the country. She visited Iowa, expecting the standard tour, the usual sales pitch. What she didn't expect was for Caitlin Clark to show up. No cameras, no media circus, just a private, genuine conversation where Clark shared what Iowa meant to her and how the program shaped her life. According to insiders, that moment sealed the deal. Imagine being 17 years old, weighing your future, and the most famous player in women's basketball personally tells you why you should choose her old school. That's not just recruiting. That's something entirely different, something the NCAA doesn't have a playbook for. Now, here's where the nil conversation becomes unavoidable. For months, rumors have circulated that Clark made an anonymous donation to Iowa's Nil Collective, giving the program a financial edge in recruiting wars. Nobody's been able to confirm it definitively, but Jensen's comments breathed new life into that theory. Clark is one of the highest paid athletes in women's basketball history. She's got endorsement deals, commercials, brand partnerships. Her financial power is real, and if she's funneling even a fraction of that back into Iowa's recruiting efforts, it changes the entire game. Nil has already transformed college sports into a pay-to-play landscape, but this will be taking it to another level. It's not just about schools competing for athletes anymore. Now professional players are potentially bankrolling their alma maters, creating dynasties that extend far beyond their playing days. Technically, Clark can't be an official recruiter. NCAA rules are clear about that. But here's the catch. She doesn't need an official title to wield influence. Her presence alone carries weight that no compliance department can regulate. Every time she visits Iowa, every time she posts about the Hawkeyes on social media, every time she shows up to a game, it sends a message. Iowa isn't just where great players come from. It's where greatness stays connected. That ongoing bond between Clark and the program is something almost no other school can replicate, and it's giving Iowa a recruiting advantage that's both undeniable and difficult to quantify. The WNBA, meanwhile, is watching all of this with mixed feelings. On one hand, Clark's star power benefits the league enormously. Ticket sales spike whenever she plays. TV ratings soar. Merchandise flies off shelves. She's the most marketable player the WNBA has ever had. But now, her continued influence over Iowa's recruiting is pulling attention back to the college game, potentially overshadowing her professional accomplishments. The league already struggles with being compared to the NCAA, especially when it comes to visibility and fan engagement. Clark's college career was so dominant, so culturally significant, that her WNBA rookie season almost felt like a step down in terms of media coverage. And now this recruiting revelation is dominating headlines again, reigniting conversations about her Iowa legacy rather than her current contributions to the league. Behind closed doors, sources say WNBA executives are quietly concerned. If one player can help boost her former program's recruiting efforts this effectively, what's stopping others from doing the same? Could this turn college basketball into a network of pro-driven endorsements, where current WNBA stars essentially handpick the next generation of talent for their alma maters? It's a precedent the league isn't prepared for, and one the NCAA doesn't have clear rules to address. Some players in the WNBA admire Clark's loyalty. Others think it creates unfair advantages. One anonymous player put it bluntly: if a Yukon or South Carolina legend did this, people would call it tampering. But because it's Caitlin Clark, everyone celebrates it. That comment exposes a larger truth. Clark's fame shields her from backlash that most players would face. Her impact is so massive that both leagues seem reluctant to challenge her publicly. And then there's the gender double standard argument. Male basketball legends like LeBron James and Steph Curry openly support their alma maters without facing scrutiny. They attend games, mentor young players, donate to programs. Nobody questions whether they're crossing ethical lines. So why should Caitlin Clark be treated any differently? Her supporters argue this is exactly what women's sports needs. Star players giving back, lifting the next generation, using their platform for something bigger than themselves. But critics counter that intent doesn't matter when perception shapes public trust. If recruits believe a professional athlete's endorsement comes with financial influence, it fundamentally alters the recruiting landscape in ways that undermine competitive balance. Iowa's athletic department and the WNBA have both stayed silent on Jensen's comments. No formal statements, no clarifications, no damage control. It's strategic silence, the kind that speaks volumes. Both sides seem content to let the story fade naturally, hoping the excitement of the upcoming season will shift the conversation. But the reality is, everyone in the basketball world knows what just happened. Caitlin Clark reminded everyone that her power doesn't end when the final buzzer sounds. She's not just shaping games. She's shaping the entire infrastructure of women's basketball, from college gyms to professional arenas. What makes this situation so fascinating is how Iowa has turned Clark's legacy into a self-sustaining recruiting machine. They didn't just celebrate her success and move on. They built their entire identity around it. Every campus tour, every recruiting video, every conversation with a potential commit includes Clark's story. The pitch is simple, but devastatingly effective. Come to Iowa and become the next Caitlin Clark. It's not a sales gimmick. It's a proven blueprint. And for recruits from small towns or underrepresented backgrounds, it resonates deeply. Iowa represents the idea that hard work and loyalty still matter more than hype, that a program in the Midwest can produce global superstars. That emotional connection is something money alone can't buy. Jensen and Blooder understand this better than anyone. Their coaching philosophy blends Clark's aura with genuine mentorship. They don't promise fame. They promise growth. They show recruits that Clark's success wasn't just natural talent. It was the product of Iowa's system, their culture, their commitment to developing players holistically. And that authenticity resonates with parents and players alike. They see a coaching staff that values substance over style, yet somehow manages to create cultural icons in the process. This latest recruiting class could define Iowa for the next 5 years. With Clark's shadow looming large, these young athletes are entering the program with enormous expectations. But that's also part of the appeal. They're not coming to rebuild. They're coming to continue a dynasty. And with the buzz surrounding the program right now, Iowa might soon be mentioned in the same breath as UConn and South Carolina when people talk about women's basketball powerhouses. Jensen's revelation highlighted a generational shift in how players influence programs. These 5 recruits represent more than talent. They symbolize the ripple effect of one player's greatness. Caitlin Clark may have left Iowa physically, but her fingerprints are all over its future. She doesn't need to recruit. Her story does it for her. The sellout crowds, the national exposure, the record-breaking viewership she generated, all of it continues paying dividends. Iowa's basketball program has become synonymous with excellence, and Clark is the reason why. Whether that influence extends too far or represents progress for women's sports depends on who you ask. But one thing is undeniable. Caitlin Clark has fundamentally altered the landscape of women's basketball at every level. She's proving you don't need to abandon your past to move forward. You can build both worlds at once, lifting others while reaching new heights yourself. Jensen's slip wasn't just a passing comment. It was confirmation of something everyone suspected, but nobody could prove. Caitlin Clark's reach extends far beyond stat sheets and highlight reels. She's not just a former player. She's the living heartbeat of Iowa basketball, and her impact refuses to fade. Both leagues continue to feel the ripple effects of her influence. And one thing is absolutely clear. This is no longer just about basketball. It's about the transformative power of legacy, influence, and connection, and how one player changed the game forever.